Hi everyone, this is Mohammad Ali Raza. Today I am going to present a presentation regarding the cybersecurity policies. Here is the executive summary. You guys are familiar with the cybersecurity and the cybersecurity related concerns and the cyber crime. So you know cybersecurity is the best practices to protect the network systems and the application from any kind of cyber attacks. And that is very common in this digital era. So the potential thoughts behind the attacker is supposed to gain to have the financial gain. Most of the time they're gonna do the ransomware attacks, and they're gonna basically damage the company reputation, right? So the solution, the consequences of the cybersecurity breach gonna be very high. So that's how we need to make sure we are putting the investment towards the right direction. So that's how we need to avoid any kind of data theft, financial losses, reputational damage, and any kind of government or state fines. So that's how the cybersecurity is a major concern. And the solution is going to be an effective organization security policies, which definitely plays an important role to prevent from the cyber attack and any kind of financial and the business losses. So that's basically security policies plays a very important role, and we need to perform different kind of cybersecurity analysis. And these security policies are basically the consolidation and the combination of different type of efforts. Like we need to conduct security testing, and we need to examine the policies day by day on the daily basis, not on the daily basis routinely. And the security services tools and techniques, we need to use multiple kind of combination of different stuff, and we need to keep validating our tools and the techniques and the services. Are we using the latest market tools and technologies? So in that way, like we can keep securing our network. Target identification analysis techniques, target vulnerability validation techniques, so these security assessment planning. So these are a couple of points which I mentioned right there, which we need to continue following to make sure our security policies are in place, and we need to keep reviewing that. These are some of the creation or the change to the different type of standards. So we need to follow a couple of standards. Those have been defined by the different authorities. So these are some common security standards. I am not going to walk through each and every standard. Most of the security standards you are already familiar with that. So we need to follow few of them, or we need to follow like the most common and effective security standards. This is about the organization NIST cybersecurity framework. As I said in the past slide, there are different kind of standards. So NIST is one of the most common cybersecurity standard. Basically, it provides the cybersecurity framework. So we basically it's a complete entire cycle that need to be run entire year. So the process is the repeating cycle. We have to identify the threats, we have to protect from the threats, we have to detect the threats, we have to respond back to the threat, and we have to recover. So it's the ongoing continuous cycle. So there are different functions as I defined here in the slide. So you guys can see identify having different kind of processes, and some of the controls have already been mentioned right there, like asset management, business environment, governance, risk assessment, risk management. In Protect, we basically make sure like our network is protected from any kind of potential threats. So that's how we're gonna provide some kind of logical and physical controls by make suring that our network is protected. Detect, here most of the activities are going to be uh, monitoring and watching the incidents and the events. So that's how the monitoring detection processes should be in place. Respond, like we have to respond back in case if any data breach or any kind of incident happens. So we should be having a capability by responding back. And same thing by the recover. So how if our network has been exploited by any potential threat, so how we gonna recover? So these this is the combination of the multiple processes which need to be run as a framework to make sure our security policies are in place. The next one, yeah, you see this cybersecurity framework NIST provided by three different components, which one is core and another one is tier and then profiling. So you see like the implementation tier. So implementation tier having a different processes which need to be done. I'm not going to walk through each and every step, but you're gonna see right there. So multiple implementation tiers we have to follow to make sure right security controls have been implemented and have been tested and then need to be monitored. This slide, you see like the NIST cybersecurity framework, why NIST is important for the company. So, like some of the security best practices framework we need to follow the guidelines, which definitely help us to protect from any kind of potential threats. And not only it's gonna provide us the protection, but it's gonna by using the but by following the framework, we can follow the complete process cycle, how to mitigate those attacks and how to remediate those attacks. So this slide, sorry, we are I try to explain how the organization security policies and what are the different components and what are the different areas which need to be covered. So basically, security policy is not only the single line of effort. So there are multiple areas which need to be considered within the organization. So you see in this chart on the right side, so the governance, risk management, procurement, technical control, incident response, cybersecurity awareness training, and compliance. These are the most important components, and organizational security policies depending over on all of those. So basically, the governance from the executive director uh, direction. Basically, we develop the organization security policies, and we need to calculate what kind of risk we can take and what are the associated risks with any kind of IT or business investment. And definitely, we need to procure, buy some of the network or infrastructure or IT infrastructure devices, tools, applications, or any kind of services that need to be deployed in IT services as well as for their protection, like that might be the security infrastructure, technical control, physical and the logical control to make sure our infrastructure is secure, incident response. We have to make sure like we are responded back, and we should be having a capability like enough manpower, tools, technologies, people, processes in place to respond back over the incident. Compliance, we need to follow the regulatory compliance. We need to make sure all of the compliance are regulated, and some of the IT governance policies and the laws we have to follow. Same thing, we need to provide the cybersecurity awareness training to our end user and our technical staff, so they should be aware with all of those. This is one of the network diagram which you have seen a lot of time. So you see right there in our network diagram, it's a segregated approach, and you see we have a different kind of network infrastructure. Security devices are deployed at different location, and we do have a different kind of security capabilities already in place. This is about the organization risk, business impact analysis, and business continuity plan. So, sorry. So you see like risk assessment belonging to the critical infrastructure BI and BCB plan. So on the very first chart on the left side, you see the high risk items and the high risk situation. So network infrastructure devices, failure, application or IT services failure, security infrastructure devices failure, databases servers failure. So what are the impacted devices? What team or function need to be involved to get them resolved? And what are the risk mitigation? So you see right there, this is a chart which is providing some kind of BI and BCP plan about the critical infrastructure. Same thing you see on the very right hand side about the business processes and the dependent technical resources and the maximum allowable outages. This is basically what we have calculated as per our with our incident response team, and that might be changed. But this is an estimated allowable outage time which we can bear in our production. So if you have any concerns, so let us know. This is about different standards, including laws, regulation, policies, voluntary and framework-based standards. These are the most common standards which like different companies follows, and we are follows some of them. And this is about incident response and the incident handling plan. So incident response handling team structure is one of the most important part uh, of the organization. How the incident response need to be taken, what kind of team we should be having to respond back appropriately, so we can remediate any kind of potential threats in case if we are under the attack. And what's going to be the team's job roles and responsibilities. So there are three different type of teams are needing: CSIRT, CERT team, and the SOC team. They all three have different kind of roles and the functionality, and it could be a mix and match, a combination of the role. So might be a one engineer could be part of the like two team or three teams, so or it might be a separate team. So it depends over the size of the company. However, you see like the technical team, business operations, I have categorized right there. And you see how they need to notify in case of incident response. That's a communication metric. And how what's going to be the notification source. So there are a lot of stuff need to be discussed about the incident response and the incident handling plan. But these are some of the highlights. What team need to be involved and how they gonna communicate. The last one, uh, sorry, that's about the infograph. So that is need to be shared among the end user as well as with the technical staff to get familiar with the most potential security threats which are spreading over the internet. And we have to mitigate and remediate our network and defend our network from all these kind of threats, because the most applicable threats are the web application based, since we have been running a lot of web application services over the internet. And definitely the another kind of risks are also associated. Thank you so much. Hopefully you guys enjoy the presentation, and talk to you. Have a good day. Bye.